You would think that once a couple starts making serious money, the financial stress would finally disappear. Not get smaller. Disappear. Because in most people's minds, there is a number where life is supposed to get easier. A number where the bills stop feeling heavy. A number where the bank account stops feeling tight. A number where the future starts to feel secure. And for many couples, that number is 6 figures. They think once we make $150,000, or $200,000, or once both of us are earning well, everything will finally calm down. But then it happens. The raises come in. The promotions happen. The second income grows. The household starts making more money than ever before. And somehow, they still feel broke. Not poor on paper. Not struggling in the way people usually imagine. But financially tense. The kind of tense where payday still matters. The kind of tense where one big bill can ruin the month. The kind of tense where you look at your income and honestly wonder, how are we making this much and still barely keeping up? That question haunts a lot of high-income couples. Because from the outside, their lives look successful. Nice home. Nice cars. Decent vacations. Good clothes. Respectable jobs. A lifestyle that looks comfortable. But behind the scenes, many of those same couples feel constant money pressure. The paychecks are big. The piece is small. And that is what makes this so confusing. Most people assume paycheck to paycheck living is only a low-income problem. It's not. There are couples making excellent money who are still stuck in a cycle where nearly every dollar that comes in is already committed before the month even begins. Not because they're foolish. Not because they're irresponsible. But because high income can hide bad financial structure for a very long time. And that is the real issue. A bigger paycheck does not automatically create a stronger household. It just creates more opportunity. Whether that opportunity becomes peace or pressure depends on what happens next. Because income does not equal wealth. Income creates opportunity. Wealth is what stays after the spending is done. Wealth is what you keep. What you protect. What you do not lock into monthly obligations. That is the part many high-income couples miss, because when income rises, life usually rises with it. The apartment becomes a house. The used car becomes 2 financed vehicles. The grocery bill becomes premium everything. The occasional takeout becomes routine convenience. The old furniture gets replaced. The vacations get upgraded. The subscriptions multiply. The spending gets smoother, easier, and more automatic. And because the income is high, none of it feels dangerous at first. That is the trap. Low-income financial problems are loud. High-income financial problems are quiet. They hide behind polished surfaces. Nobody looks at a household making good money and assumes they're financially stressed. But a large income can be one of the best disguises for a household with weak margins, heavy obligations, and no real flexibility. That is why so many couples still feel trapped. The money is coming in. It is just leaving faster than they expected. And once that becomes normal, the paycheck stops feeling like a tool. It starts feeling like life support. One of the biggest reasons this happens is because couples confuse lifestyle improvement with financial progress. And those are not the same thing. Financial progress means your position is getting stronger. You have more savings, less debt, more margin, more flexibility, more freedom. Lifestyle improvement means your life looks and feels better right now. Better house. better neighborhood, better furniture, better travel, better restaurants, better convenience, better upgrades. None of those things are automatically bad. But the problem begins when every raise gets turned into a higher cost of living instead of a stronger financial foundation. That is when high earners start feeling broke. Because they are not building. They are absorbing. Every increase in income gets swallowed by the new version of normal. And once that happens, a household can earn more every year and still never feel safe. Because the breathing room never gets a chance to exist. It gets spent before it can become peace. This becomes even more dangerous in couples because two incomes create psychological permission. That second income changes the way people think. It says we can handle it. We can handle the bigger mortgage. We can handle the nicer neighborhood. We can handle the daycare. We can handle the car payments. We can handle the upgraded life. And technically, they often can. At least while everything is going right. That is the part people ignore. A lot of high-income couples are not living on money they comfortably control. They are living on a delicate balance that depends on both people continuing to earn at a high level with almost no interruption. That is not stability. That is dependency. And dependency is exhausting. Because now the household cannot just earn well. It has to keep earning well. Both people have to keep showing up. Keep performing. Keep pushing. Keep tolerating stress. Keep producing. All just to hold the lifestyle together. And once that happens, the paycheck becomes pressure. It becomes the thing holding up the house, the cars, the debt, the bills, the school costs, the groceries, and the image of success. That's why so many high-income couples feel anxious even while making enough money to impress other people. Because the income may be high, but the obligation level is just as high. And that creates a very specific kind of stress. Not the stress of having nothing. The stress of having too much to maintain. One of the biggest hidden drivers of this is fixed expenses. High-income couples often do not get crushed by random spending first. They get crushed by the monthly commitments they normalized when life felt secure. The mortgage. The car payments. The insurance. The childcare. The debt. The utilities. The subscriptions. The recurring convenience costs. These expenses show up before the month even begins. And once a household's fixed costs get too high, the income starts losing its power. Because flexibility disappears. Now every month has a minimum price tag. Now every paycheck already has a job. Now the couple is not asking how should we use our money. They are asking how fast do we need the next deposit. That is paycheck to paycheck living, even if the checks are large. Another reason high-income couples stay stuck is because spending becomes emotional compensation for stress. When both adults are working hard, carrying pressure, and managing a busy life, spending starts to feel like relief. Ordering takeout after a long day feels justified. Booking the vacation feels deserved. Buying the nicer furniture feels earned. Paying for convenience feels necessary. And when you are both tired, almost every spending decision can be framed as something that helps life feel easier. That is how a lot of money disappears. Not through insane extravagance. Through emotional logic. We work hard. We deserve it. This makes life easier. We do not have time. We can afford it. That phrase can get very expensive. Because we can afford it usually means we can make the payment. It does not mean the purchase is helping your future. It does not mean it fits your long-term goals. It just means today's cash flow can absorb it. And if you make enough money, you can justify almost anything with that logic. That is why high-income households often accumulate invisible financial drag. A little more on groceries. A little more on dining. A little more on Amazon. A little more on kids' activities. A little more on subscriptions. A little more on travel. A little more on home upgrades. None of it feels huge alone. But stacked together, those decisions can quietly consume the difference between a high income and actual wealth. Then there is debt. A lot of high-income couples are not using debt strategically. They're using it as a cushion. Credit cards become the bridge between lifestyle and cash flow. Financing becomes the bridge between desire and discipline. Monthly payments become the bridge between what they want now and what they have not fully prepared to pay for. So even while income is strong, debt starts doing silent damage. Not always because the balances look dramatic. Sometimes because debt normalizes the habit of borrowing from the future. And once that habit becomes normal, it gets very hard to build real financial momentum. Because each month is not just supporting current life. It is also supporting past decisions. Past upgrades. Past trips. Past impulse buys. Past stress spending. Past attempts to make life feel easier. Now add comparison to the picture. High-income couples do not compare themselves to struggling households. They compare themselves to other high-income households. That means the benchmark keeps moving. Now normal becomes the nicer neighborhood. The luxury SUV. The upgraded kitchen. The expensive vacations. The polished lifestyle. And once your environment changes, your definition of moderation changes with it. That is how couples start spending in ways that would have shocked them just a few years earlier. Not because they are reckless. Because they are adapting to a new normal. And because the people around them are doing similar things, the spending feels reasonable. That is how households drift into financial pressure without making one huge mistake. It feels gradual. Socially validated. Understandable. Until the pressure becomes permanent. So what actually breaks this cycle? The first step is to stop measuring financial success by income and start measuring it by control. How much of your income do you still control after the essentials are paid? How much of your monthly cash flow is flexible? How long could you survive if one income disappeared? How quickly could you reduce your costs if you had to? Those are the real questions. Because a high-income household with no margin is not strong. It is just expensive. The second step is doing a real cash flow audit. Go through the last 90 days and find out where the money actually went. Not where you think it went. Where it actually went. This is where many couples get shocked. They expect the problem to be one giant expense. Usually it is not. Usually it is accumulation. Comfort spending. Convenience spending. Repeat spending. Silent spending. That is where high-income households lose power. The third step is reducing fixed expenses before chasing more income. Because if your structure is weak, more income will often disappear into the same broken system. So before obsessing over earning more, ask what in our monthly life is making us dependent on these paychecks. Is it the house? The cars? The debt? The school costs? The convenience habits? The upgraded lifestyle? That is where the breakthrough usually begins. The fourth step is building an income gap. A deliberate gap between what you earn and what your life requires. That gap is everything. That is where peace lives. That is where savings come from. That is where investing comes from. That is where options come from. Without that gap, every month becomes a performance. With that gap, your money starts building your future instead of constantly rescuing your present. For some couples, this means living on one income and saving the other. For others, it means attacking debt. For others, it means downsizing. For others, it means refusing to upgrade every time income rises. The exact strategy can differ, but the principle is the same. Your household should not need all of your earning power just to feel normal. If it does, the system is too tight. And tight systems break. The final step is redefining success. Because until a couple changes what they admire, the money habits usually do not change for long. If success still means looking successful, spending will keep winning. But if success becomes low stress, strong savings, flexibility, fewer obligations, and more peace, then better decisions start to follow. A lot of high-income couples do not really want a flashy life. They want a peaceful life. A flexible life. A stable life. A life where money is not always creating background pressure. But they accidentally built the opposite while chasing what success was supposed to look like. And that is why this matters. Because there are couples right now making more money than they ever imagined and still feeling behind. Still waiting for relief. Still believing the next raise will fix everything. But a bigger paycheck will not solve a life that keeps expanding to consume it. At some point, the answer is not more income. It is more honesty. More clarity. More discipline. More margin. Because the couples who actually become financially strong are usually not the ones with the flashiest income. They are the ones who learn how to keep more of what they earn. The ones who control their lifestyle. The ones who understand that money is not just about what comes in. It is about what stays. What protects you. What frees you. What buys back your choices. So if you are part of a high-income household and still feel paycheck to paycheck, do not ignore that feeling. It is telling you something important. It is telling you that the income is not translating into security. It is telling you that the structure needs work. It is telling you that the lifestyle may have outrun the foundation. And the earlier you face that truth, the faster you can change it. If this video made you rethink how money is flowing through your household, share it with your partner. And if you want more content on personal finance, wealth building, budgeting, lifestyle creep, and the money traps that keep people stuck, subscribe to Vail Wealth Finance. I'll see you in the next video.